All right, peace of the true and living, man. It's your brother. Sorry, back with yet another one. Um, yeah. So we back, back on another thing with the 48 laws of power, as listed by Robert Greene from his book. We're at the 18th law of power at this point. Yeah. So this law is: do not build fortresses to protect yourself. Isolation is dangerous. Okay. So, um, in True Master, this would tie into self-imposed negative performance contracts. Self-imposed negative performance contracts. Okay, so what do I mean by that? So let's kind of get into this. Okay, so this law goes into not isolating yourself in times of trouble because you cut off your source of information. So you won't know when danger comes, when danger is there before it actually arrives. You won't have any time to prepare or anything like that because you'll be isolated into yourself or what have you. So this would go into building a network or a structure of people, right? So with this, building a network or a structure of people, and we talked about structures in several of the other videos and stuff like that. We talk about structures can be anything. Structures can be anything from emotions to ideas to people to equipment, anything. That's a universal word, so we can apply it to multiple different things. That's why we kind of use it like that. So let's see, building a network or a structure of people. There is an idea in TM about agreements as contracts. You see what I'm saying? This is expressed in two ways: in positive performance contracts and negative performance contracts. This let's see here, positive performance contract. These are just restrictions that you can impose or release a structure from or what have you. So these could apply to everything from security clearance to mobility of a structure or what case may be. Emotional liminy would be a negative performance contract. Emotional liminy is something in court or whatever case may be where they tell you, they limit your conversation. They tell you things that you can't talk about. You see what I'm saying? In your argument or whatever case may be. So you can have some evidence that could prove that you innocent or whatever case may be beyond a shadow of a doubt. But they'll put emotional liminy in, and you're not allowed to talk about that. So you got to figure out some other way to prove your innocence without mentioning this little detail. So that's, you see what I'm saying? That's a negative performance contract. So that's in law. That's in actual real practice. So positive performance contracts grant you access, while negative performance contracts restrict access or sanction. You know what I'm saying? So Trump just put sanctions on people recently. Sanction a structure. All right. So both have pros and cons. However, remember we are talking about times of trouble. Isolation in times of trouble would be overdoing it in this particular situation, right? See Law 16, we talk about over and underdoing things, right? There is also an idea of structures as prisons, right? Structures as in ideologies, networks of people could be prisons that keep you in a rut. Um, uh, Outdated equipment. I don't know. Um, I don't know, staff, uneducated staff or whatever case may be. Anything could be, uh, anything could be a structure that's a prison, something that you want to hold on to. Now, that's a whole nother teaching in itself, or that's a whole nother lesson in itself, having things in your life that, I don't know, that, that you gotta kind of let go of for your own personal growth to increase or whatever case may be. Certain things can maybe prisons. You see what I'm saying? That might be kind of like, um, limiting your growth or whatever case may be. You see what I'm saying? And you may hold on to them for whatever reason or whatever case may be. It's only really you know it's something you doing for you, like how we talked about prior to that. It's either a psychological need or a physical need or something like that. But whatever psychological need you feel like this is fulfilling or whatever case may be, it can have the weight of shackles holding you into a particular situation when that situation has kind of outlived its its course or whatever case may be. you'll know because it'll manifest as an unfavorable situation. It'll be like a toothache, and you'll keep seeing the same symbol of this problem. You see what I'm saying? But anyway, okay. So there's also a idea in of structures as prisons if they are not properly aligned to their intended purpose. This could be structures of people to a daily routine that is unhealthy. You see what I'm saying? You could be drinking Coca-Cola and eating cheeseburgers every day. You see, that could be part of your daily structure. And then you might have a job or something like that that you sit down all day. The combination of all those habits or whatever case may be might be the source of that gut or the source of some parasites or the source of any manner of unhealthiness or whatever case may be. So that's another thing. Okay, in the sense of a daily routine, maybe your isolation prevents you from access to fresh ideas, fresh methods, and motivation to get out of a particular rut. Examine your structure in the form of your daily routine. Um, what can be added or taken away to make you more productive, even if it's only one thing. So that's another thing um, as it pertains to building fortresses or whatever case may be, keeping yourself isolated away from I don't know. It could be it could be constructive criticism. It could be fresh ideas. It could be motivation. It could be anything to insulate you into. Maybe you might be depressed or whatever case may be, and you're staying around things that insulate you in that feeling of depression or whatever case may be. You see what I'm saying? Sometimes you have to, break that in order to get out of that rut. And this is all kind of like in the sense of isolation or building, kind of isolating yourself, building a fortress or whatever case may be. You see what I'm saying? A lot of this language, like how I talked about, we use it in a universal sense so it can apply to a plethora of different situations. So a person can be talking about this or whatever case may be. A person can be talking about do not build fortresses to protect yourself. Isolation is dangerous or whatever case may be. Robert Greene ain't talking about nothing about your daily routines. He's not talking about your daily routines necessarily. You see what I'm saying? He's talking about your relationships with allies or whatever case may be. However, when we put this stuff in a more universal context, I can still contrast that with a person's daily routines or whatever case may be. Because building a fortress to protect yourself or isolating yourself in a fortress from a true master perspective or whatever, I also correlate that with building a structure that kind of keeps you isolated, whether it be mentally, physically, health wise, anything like that, or whatever case may be. So in this type of stuff, we use a lot of this language a little bit more um, in a more flexible way so we can use it in more diverse situations. So, that's just kind of example of what we're talking about. That would be your 18th law of power. Do not build fortresses to protect yourself. Isolation is dangerous. And when he says this, he's talking about in times of trouble. A lot of the stuff we talking about, every energy has a relevance at some point in time or whatever case may be. So a lot of times we talking about don't do this or do that or whatever case may be. A lot of this stuff is situational. A lot of this stuff is circumstantial based on what is going on with you at that particular time or what you're trying to accomplish. So I'm not telling you that none of this stuff is a one size fits all. You have to assess what you're going through and the situation that you're going through, and then you can apply it. But we're dealing with situations from an energetic perspective. You see what I'm saying? So you're not dealing with isolated events. You see what I'm saying? Most people believe in coincidence and isolated events or whatever. If that didn't exist, everything that ever happened to you was ordered in the sense of some sort of cyclical occurrence or some sort of pattern. This is what we're dealing with. And we're trying to use I don't know, a more specialized level of awareness to be able to even address when certain patterns consistently happen or whatever. Because a lot of the things that's mentioned in the 48 laws of power, these are common patterns that people run into or common um, I don't know, patterns that people use to get their way or to try to manipulate people. As you can see, the 48 laws of power center around manipulation and exploitation. So these are common behaviors that people use on an everyday or whatever case may be. So, just kind of going into that. A lot of this stuff, it allows you to, when you filter it through this, as you can see, this ain't no kind of religion or nothing. As you filter it through this construct or whatever case may be, things that you may have some sort of emotional bias toward or whatever case may be, when you filter it through this construct, it takes the emotional bias up out of it because you're using some sort of universal construct. It's just a symbol, or it's just a pattern, or that's just noise, or this is stimulus, or whatever case may be. It puts it in a place where it takes the emotional attachment out of it, or whatever case may be, where you can look at the situation for what it is, and then if you want to, you can take the helmet off and you can view it from your emotional bias if that's what you choose to do. So yeah, man, I know that was a mouthful. I'm running a mouth on this one, but kind of went on a little rant on that on the end of the video. But that's your 18th law of power, man. I appreciate y'all for checking me out. We'll move on. Keep pressing through these, man. Appreciate y'all for sticking in here with me. If you like what you've been hearing, like and subscribe. Peace and blessings.